learn about the baani of Barah Maha Manjh. Today we'll learn about the month of Sawan. So before we begin, let's do a bit of Simran and then we'll continue. Vaheguru, 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 Vaheguru. Vaheguru, 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 Vaheguru. Vaheguru, 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 Vaheguru. वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह। मैं नाही कछ हो नाही किछ आहे न मोरा अवसर लज्जा राख ले हो सदना जन तोरा। वाहे गुरु वाहे गुरु वाहे गुरु वाहे गुरु वाहे गुरु वाहे गुरु। Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh Sangat Ji. We're very blessed to be here in the century of the King of Kings, Tan Tan Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. And before we begin, just wanted to give back to the Sangat that has been helping out every single month with these divans. These divans are not possible without your support, without your help, without your love. So to give back and to also commemorate the month of Sawan, which is the month of rejuvenation and month of renewal, we have gotten pots at the back. So there's VG sitting at the back. Right next to VG there's a box, and in that box there is pots and there are cards with seeds in them. And what the hope is that take one home, and the hope is that as you water them, as you give them lots of sunshine, lots of love, and as you see these flowers blossom, the hope is that you're internally and externally you will blossom as well. So Maharaj, they tell us Kar sukh vasya bahar sukh paya, that if we're happy, if we're content, if we're peaceful on the inside, then bahar sukh paya, then that is also reflected on the outside in our actions. We talk nicely to each other, we have compassion for our family members and those that are around us. So if we're happy and if we're peaceful on the inside, then that is shown on the outside as well. And please take these seeds and plant them, so as you see these seeds grow into flowers, and as these flowers blossom, as these flowers bloom, the hope is that you will also grow spiritually with them as well, and you will blossom and your mind will bloom as well. So welcome back to the monthly Katha series on Barah Maha Manjh, which is a beautiful composition written by our fifth Guru, Guru Arjan Dev Sahib Ji Maharaj. And this baani, it talks about the journey of a soul to Vaheguru. So those that have been attending this Katha monthly, hopefully we have come across this pattern now, that this baani poetically reflects how the external seasons, they mirror the internal state of our mind. So what does that mean? So sometimes our mind is in Vasak, our mind is blossoming, our mind is blooming just like the flowers. We feel so uplifted, we feel so motivated to do things, we feel so encouraged, we feel that our mind is at peace, we are happy inside. And sometimes it feels like our mind is like the month of Har, the the flowers are drying out, and just like that, because of ego, it feels like our mind is barren, our mind feels empty inside. But sometimes it feels like God is raining their grace upon us, just like the month of Sawan, which we'll learn about today. So essentially this baani is like a metaphysical map that reveals how a seeker experiences union with Vaheguru in all seasons of life. So this is a really interesting baani that we're unfolding today with Maharaj's Kirpa. So let's see what Maharaj is saying for the month of Sawan. So Maharaj, they start off this baani by saying, Sawan sarsi kamani, charan kamal seo pyar. Sawan signifies renewal. Sawan signifies hope. So this is a month of monsoon. This is the season of heavy rainfall that brings life back to the land that was once dry during the harsh summer months of Hard. And when rain pours down, if you've noticed, when you're out in the nature, when rain pours down, you see that the flowers are blossoming again, you see the greenery starts to come back, and you see that the trees are lively again. Just like that, in that same way, when our lives, they feel dry, they feel overwhelmed by pain, by suffering, by hopelessness, and when we do ardas to Maharaj, this heartfelt prayer to Maharaj in that place of vulnerability, that place where we feel so hopeless, when we do ardas to Maharaj with that love, with that vulnerability, from that position, then Maharaj, they shower their kirpa upon us. And it isn't like a raindrop or two. That kirpa that showers upon us is like the month of Sawan where it rains heavily. Just like that, that kirpa rains heavily upon us. And what does that kirpa look like? That kirpa looks like us being blessed with the right sangat. Not just any sangat, not just any company, but the right sangat. And what does that mean? When we're in the right sangat, when we're blessed with the right sangat, the right company, then that sangat, being in that company uplifts us. It refreshes our mind. It motivates us to do better. It motivates us, encourages us to walk on that spiritual journey and to keep on discovering the deeper meaning of life. When we're in the right sangha, something amazing happens. Our hearts, they start to heal. Our mind, they start to blossom once again, and our minds are at peace. So Sangaji Maharaj is saying, Savan sarsi kamani. Sarsi here means to blossom. So when we're in the right sangat, our mind starts to blossom and our mind is at peace. Kamani is referring to the seeker, the one that is searching for the truth in life, the one that is searching for the truth that is eternal, the truth that is never changing. And what is that truth, Sangaji? That truth is Vaheguru. Seeker is the one that is searching for Vaheguru. So essentially, all of us are seekers. We're all searching for that truth in our life. We're all searching for Vaheguru. Being in the right sangat, we, the seekers, we spiritually wake up. And just like the plant that gets the right food, gets the right environment, and starts to blossom, just like that, when we're in the right sangat, our inside starts to blossom as well. Our mind is happy, our mind is peaceful, our mind is content. And not just that, Sangaji, when we're in the right sangat, the seeker, us, we start to find meaning, we start to find beauty in our day-to-day life. We start to find meaning and beauty in the relationships that we have in this life. So Maharaj is saying, Savan sarsi kamani, charan kamal seo pyar. Charan kamal here literally translates to charan meaning feet and kamal meaning lotus, so lotus feet. But what does that mean for us? What is lotus feet? Here Maharaj is saying that the lotus feet, they symbolize Guru's protection. They symbolize Guru's sanctuary. So when we come into the Guru's sanctuary, Maharaj is poetically describing that when we come into the sanctuary of our Guru, then our Guru blesses us with the Guru's message. And what is that Guru's message? That's Gurbani. So we get blessed with Gurbani. And not just that, we get blessed with Gurbani and we start to understand Gurbani, what it means, what it's saying. And when we start to understand Gurbani, we start to live our life in alignment with Gurbani, then our mind starts to blossom. Then our mind is at peace and we're in love with our Guru. So there's a Sakhi of Guru Gobind Singh Ji that highlights this quite beautifully. One day Guru Gobind Singh Ji, everybody just imagine that one day Guru Gobind Singh Ji, they were walking alongside a river. And just imagine that the scenery is so beautiful, it's nice and sunny. You see that there's trees on either side, and you see Guru Gobind Singh Ji walking on a path right next to a river. And as Guru Gobind Singh Ji are walking, they have something in their hands. They have stones in their hands. And as they're walking, they're throwing these stones and they're catching them. So they throw the stones and they catch them. They keep on doing that. As Guru Gobind Singh Ji is walking and they're throwing and catching these stones, some of them, they fall into the river. But some of them stay in their hand. And Bhai Nand Lal Ji, a great poet of that time, they're witnessing all of this. They're seeing Maharaj in their Maanjh, in their Khed. They're just throwing and catching and throwing stones. And Bhai Nand Lal Ji is observing Guru Gobind Singh Ji. Guru Gobind Singh Ji, they turn around and they ask Bhai Nand Lal Ji, they said, what does this mean? I have some stones in my hands, but some stones have fallen into the river. What does this mean? And Bhai Nand Lal Ji, they said, Maharaj, whatever you do, a Sikh can never really know. Only you know what you're doing. We don't have the intellect to understand. So Bhai Nand Lal Ji, in that moment, they said, we don't have the intellect to understand what you do, Maharaj. But Guru Gobind Singh Ji, they insisted, they said, Nahi, Nand Lal, think about it. What do you think? Some of the stones fell down in the river and some of the stones are in my hands. What does this mean to you? Bhai Nand Lal Ji, they fell silent and they went into deep thought. Because they were a poet, they were able to get into the depth of normal day life. They looked into things quite deeply. Bhai Nand Lal Ji, then they say to Guru Gobind Singh Ji, they said, I don't have the intellect to understand, but if you want me to explain through your kirpa, what my understanding is, that Maharaj, those stones that fell into the river are those people that are drowning in this life. But those stones that are still in your hands are those people that you have saved. And Guru Gobind Singh Ji said, what do you mean? And Bhai Nand Lal Ji, they said, Nand Lal is in your hands. Nand Lal is in your century. Nand Lal is saved. But those stones that have fell into the river are the ones that are drowning. Those are the people that are drowning. Those are the people that have not read Gurbani. Those are the people that are not contemplating upon Gurbani. Those are the people that are not coming into the Sangat. Those are the people that have fallen out of your century. Those are the people that are drowning in the world. But those that stay in your protection, those that stay in your century, those are the people that are saved. So Sangaji, this is a very beautiful way of understanding how important coming into the century of our Guru is, because this is all we need. Gurbani is all we need in our life. Our Guru is all we need in our life. Being in the century of our Guru means never leaving Guru's side. This is what Charan Kamal Se Pyar means. This is what love means. Loving our Guru and not able to imagine our life without our Guru. Can you imagine your life without Gurbani? Can you imagine your life without Guru Granth Sahib Ji? How miserable it will be, how painful it will be. So Sangaji, Savan, the month of Savan essentially is a month of hope that when we come into the century of our Guru, that there is hope that we will overcome the hardships that we might be going through. There's hope that we will overcome the bitterness, the resentment that we might be facing in our relationships. There's hope that we will overcome the anxiety, the fear, the resentment, the depression. All of these things will be uplifted. There's hope that our heart will heal again. There is hope that one day we will experience true love. And for without love, we cannot reach the one that we seek. And Guru Gobind Singh Ji, they talk about this every single day in the baani of Dwa Prasad Soiye. When they talk to us, when we read Gurbani, Maharaj say, Jin prem kiyo, tin hi prabh payo. Those that love deeply, those that love selflessly, they're the ones that realize God. They're the ones that realize their true self, which is Vaheguru. So what is this love that Maharaj is talking about? Love isn't just an emotion. It's not just a feeling, because these things are temporary. They come and go. Love is something deeper than that. Love is something that stays. Love isn't something that we feel. Love is something that we become. If you ask me from my limited intellect what love is, I would say love is putting my crying baby back to sleep at 2 a.m. Love is giving up the freedom of being able to go out to meet my friends spontaneously. Love is giving up my comfort, giving up my rest. Love is giving up all these things for the baby that Waheguru has blessed us with. When we become parents, our ego takes a really big hit because it isn't about us anymore. Our life doesn't revolve around us anymore. We don't put ourselves first anymore. When we become parents, our children are first. And when we become parents, their happiness comes first. Their comfort comes first. So Sangatji, when we become parents, our ego starts to chip away. And through this relationship, Waheguru is teaching us not to just learn about love, but to become love. And this is why Maharaj have blessed us. They bless us with this Gristi Jeevan. They tell us to follow this Gristi Jeevan, because when we are following this Gristi Jeevan, our ego is getting chipped away bit by bit. When we get married, our ego gets chipped away a bit. When we have children, our ego gets chipped away. And slowly, we're becoming love. We don't have to learn about it. We don't have to think about it, what love might mean. We already are love. We already are Waheguru. So someone asked a great saintly being, Sant Atar Singh Ji Mastuang Wale, a great saintly being, they said, what is love for you? What does love mean to you? Sant Atar Singh Ji, they thought about it and they said, love, and love in Gurmukhi is prem. They said prem is pare main. That's what prem is. There's nothing more to it. Pare main. Main means ego, man means I, and pare means to go beyond that. When we go beyond our ego dies. When we go beyond our sense of individuality, when that goes away, that sense of identity, when that goes away, and that's what's happening in our Gristi Jeevan. I'm not sure if you've noticed this, but when you get married, when you have children, that ego starts to chip away bit by bit, and what gets left behind? We're just a big ball of love. That's what love is, what we become. So Sangatji, we notice that there is no me or there's no you anymore. There is us. We become a collective unit. And that's why Maharaj, they tell us to come into the Sadh Sangat, because in the Sadh Sangat, we're not thinking I, me, main, we're thinking us, we. And when we do that, our mind becomes humble, our mind becomes content, and that ego starts to go away. That ego starts to get chipped away. So Sangatji, let's see what Gurbani is saying about love. And Maharaj, they are so amazing. The examples that they give, the imagination that Maharaj have is so profound. It just blows our mind. So let's see what Maharaj is saying about love. So Maharaj say, Re man aisi harisyo preet kar jaisi jal dud hoye. They're saying, Maharaj is saying, telling our mind, they're saying, Re man. They're telling our mind and they're saying, Aisi harsyo preet kar, love God like this, jaisi jal dud hoye, like water loves milk. Now what does that mean? This is a really great metaphor that Maharaj is using. They're saying, Re man aisi harsyo preet kar, jaisi jal dud hoye. Love Waheguru, love God like water loves milk. How does water love milk? When you pour water in milk, milk gives water its form. When you pour water in milk, water doesn't stand out. Water mixes into the milk and takes on the form of the milk. Water surrenders and loses its sense of individuality. It loses its ego and becomes one with the milk. It transcends. It loves milk so much that it transcends the ego. It becomes one with the milk. And when you put milk onto the stove, Maharaj is saying, Avtan khape, avtan ape khava, dud ko khapan na de. So what happens when you put milk onto the stove and you see these flames that are heating up this milk? What happens? When you put milk onto the stove and you start to heat that milk, something beautiful happens. That water that was added into the milk, that water starts to sacrifice itself. It starts to boil. It starts to evaporate to save the one, to protect the one that it loves. To protect milk, to prevent it from burning, water decides to sacrifice itself, starts to evaporate to protect milk from burning. That's love. And not just that, look at the love that milk has for water as well. When milk sees water burning, when milk sees that water is suffering so much, that milk starts to boil over the stove and turns the flames off. That's love. Love is mutual. It's not just one direction. This love is mutual. So what does that mean for us? When we come into the sanctuary of our Guru, Guru Granth Sahib Ji, when we come into the Sadh Sangat, our Guru transforms us. From someone that was once full of anger, someone full of pride, someone full of ego, our Guru transforms us into someone that has humility, someone that has compassion, someone that has sweet speech. And when we completely surrender ourselves to our Guru, just like water completely surrendered itself to the milk and took on the form of the milk, just like that, when we completely surrender ourselves to our Guru, then what happens? Our Guru gives us their form. Khalsa mero roop hai khas. Khalse main ho karo nivas. That Khalsa mero roop hai khas. Then Maharaj, they give us their form. They give us the form of the Khalsa that is very unique. Khalse main ho karo nivas. I reside within the Khalsa. We become the form of our Guru. There is no difference between us and our Guru. There is no difference between us. So, Sangat Ji, Maharaj, they go on to say, Mantan Ratta Sach Rang Eko Naam Adar. Man Tan, Man meaning mind, Tan meaning body, Ratta means to be drenched in, to be soaked in, Sach Rang, Sach meaning true, Rang meaning color. But what does that mean for us? When we come into the sanctuary of our true Guru, our Satguru, our mind and our body become drenched, they get soaked in the truth. The truth that is eternal, the truth that is never changing. So every day our mind is getting colored by different colors. Colors of desires, colors of anger, colors of fear, colors of worries. But these are temporary dyes. They leave stains and they come from ego. Sach Rang is permanent. It's the color that never comes off. So just like when we put a white cloth into a color to dye it, and it becomes something new, just like that, the seeker, us, when we come into the sanctuary of our Guru, we start to lose our ego. Our mind gets dyed in the color of truth. It gets dyed in the color of contentment. It gets dyed in the color of humility. And Maharaj is saying, Eko Naam Adar. Eko Naam Adar means Gurbani becomes our support, our true support. Where we once placed our hope, our asa, into materialistic things or the people of this world, only to be left behind with pain, with anger, with disappointment. Jigyasa, our spiritual longing, leads us to put our faith or put our hope into Vaheguru, put our hope into the Guru's message. And when we do that, this shift is the one that brings this true healing within us, because we're no longer dependent on people who have disappointed us, who have let us down. We're now dependent on our Guru who never lets us down. Another way of looking at Eko Naam Adar, that this Naam is our true support, is when we're soaked in the color of the truth, then Naam is our only support, meaning Naam isn't just a name, isn't just referring to the name of God. Naam is that vibration that created this whole creation. Naam is that vibration that this whole world is made out of. Maharaj ji say, Naam ke tare sagale jant. That Naam is the support of all existence. Naam isn't just a word, it's the vibration that has created this whole creation. So think of Naam like Wi-Fi. So when we all have Wi-Fi at home. And when we have Wi-Fi, you know that Wi-Fi is always present. It's always transmitting. Just like that, just like you cannot see Wi-Fi, but you know that it's there and it's transmitting. Just like that, Naam is there. We can't see it, but it's there. That vibration is there. that energy is present in each and every molecule, each and every cell of our being. That energy is present in each and every breath. And just like when, without Wi-Fi, if we try to access internet on our phone, if we try to go onto the internet without Wi-Fi, we cannot get to it. Just like that, without Nam, we cannot experience our true self. Nam is always broadcasting, just like Wi-Fi. Nam is always broadcasting, but only when our mind tunes into that Nam, into that vibration, through surrenderance, through coming into the Sangat, through coming into the century of our Guru, then we start to experience it. We start to experience it when we start to understand Gurbani, and we experience that Nam, not just at the Gurdwara. It's not something to be, just that's only restricted to the Gurdwara. That's not what it means. Nam is everywhere. We see it in the nature. We see it in the sun, in the moon, in the stars, in the flowers, the forest, the meadows. We see that Nam everywhere. But we get that understanding from our Guru, from Guru Granth Sahib Ji. And just like when we have Wi-Fi and we are able to access the internet, and when we go on the internet there's unlimited information that we can access, just like that, when we tune into Nam, then that Nam connects us to our infinite consciousness. And without Wi-Fi, you've noticed, without Wi-Fi you cannot really update your apps, you cannot download any apps, you cannot communicate with each other. Just like that, without Nam, we are trapped by the Panch Chor, the 5 vices: Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Ahankar, desires, anger, greed, attachment, and ego, egotistical pride. And just like we need continuous connection of Wi-Fi to access our apps and make them work, just like that we need continuous connection with Nam. Nam isn't just a one-time thing. We need to connect to it, we need to access it continuously and tune into it regularly, so that we can have that continuous remembrance of God, so that we can get to that point where we realize our true self. So Sangat Ji Maharaj, they go on to say, Bikya rang kudavya dissan sabhe char. Bikya here means that something that captivates the mind, something that is pleasurable to this body. Rang is referring to a range of pleasures. Kudavya means false, something that is false, something that is fake. The pleasures of the world or the pleasures of the body, they start to seem fake. They start to feel false when we come into the century of the Guru, when we come into the Sadh Sangat and listen to Gurbani, understand Gurbani. All of these pleasures of the world, they start to feel fake. They seem char. Char means worthless. We're no longer attracted to the world. We're no longer attracted to the pleasures of this world. And the body is seen as something that is just a vessel, is made of mere dirt and ashes, and that's it. There's nothing more to it. We're using this body to connect to that vibration, to connect to that Nam, but that's all there is. That's what we're here for. That's the purpose of our life, to connect to that vibration. And we see that this body is temporary, and so are the pleasures of this world. And this, when we are in this state of being is liberating. We can become Jivan Mukta. Jivan Mukta meaning getting liberation whilst we're still alive. We often hear about liberation. We often hear about liberation from the cycle of birth and death after we're dead. But that's not true, Sangat Ji. We can be liberated right here, right now. We can be liberated while we're still alive. Let's ask Bhagat Namdev Ji how that works. Bhagat Namdev Ji, they talk about this quite beautifully. So imagine now, Bhagat Namdev Ji, everybody close your eyes and try to imagine this scene. Imagine Bhagat Namdev Ji. They're walking up the stairs to a temple where they hear Pandits singing praises of their deities, doing bhajan, doing kirtan. Just like we do Simran, we do kirtan. They're doing kirtan in their own way. They're singing praises of their deities, worshipping their deities. And Bhagat Namdev Ji, they're walking up the stairs and they find a small corner to sit down, and they sit down. And when they sit down, they're very happy. There's a big smile on their face. And they notice that the Pandits, they're playing shani, just like we play shani when we do Simran and Kirtan. The Pandits, they're playing shani as they're singing their bhajans, as they're worshipping. Bhagat Namdev Ji, in their complete innocence, they remove their shoes and they start to bang their shoes. And they start to play their own form of shani. And Bhagat Namdev ji are completely absorbed. They're completely drenched in that naam, in that vibration. And as they're singing the praises of God, the Pandits, they turn around and they see Bhagat Namdev ji banging their shoes. The Pandits, they get really furious. They get really angry. And they pick up Bhagat Namdev ji, they take them down the stairs and they beat them up as they're taking them down the stairs and they throw them down. And Bhagat Namdev ji, they don't say anything to the Pandits. What do? They go around to the back side of the temple and they sit down. And they start to have a conversation with Vaheguru. They start to have a conversation with God. They say, Mue hoye jo mukt dehoge, mukt na jana koila. They're saying to God, they're saying, I'm being called a low caste. I'm being beaten up. I'm being thrown out of the temple. Whilst I was worshipping you, God, I was being beaten up. I was thrown down. I'm being told that I'm a low caste. That I'm being told that I don't belong here. And who are these people that are telling me that I don't belong here? That I don't belong to you? It's the same people that call themselves the high caste, the Pandits, that everybody looks up to, the world looks up to. It's these Pandits. They're telling me that I cannot come to you. They're telling me I cannot worship you because I'm a low caste. Because I, Bhagat Namdev, is someone that prints designs onto cloth sheets. I'm seen as someone that is of a low caste. I'm seen someone that is an untouchable, and I'm not allowed to be in a temple. I'm not allowed to come into a mandir. I'm not allowed to worship you. Bhagat Namdev ji is crying. Their inside is really calling out to God. They're saying that these people that you have given the title of Pandits, that the people have given the title of Pandits, those that call themselves Gyanis, those that call themselves high scholarly people, those that call themselves closer to God, these same people that people look up to, these same Pandits are the ones that are throwing me out of your temple of worship. Bhagat Namdev ji, they say, Moe hoye jo mukt dehoge. They said, I'm going to get liberated, but if I get liberated after death, how are these Pandits that are calling me low caste, that are calling me untouchable, throwing me, beating me, throwing me out of the temple, how are these guys going to know that I got liberation? I want them to know. They said, if you give me liberation after death, that's not going to work, because these guys are not going to know that I and Bhagat Namdev, someone that was called a low caste, someone that was called untouchable, got liberation. I want them to see that I got liberated. They're saying, Moe hoye jo mukt dehoge, mukt na jana koila. These guys are not going to know that I got liberated. I want liberation right here, right now, God. I want liberation now. And they did get Jivan Mukti. They did get liberation because they had that love for God. What is liberation for us, Sangat ji? What is that mukti for us? That mukti is having freedom from the 5 vices. Imagine someone that is in a jail. Someone is in a jail. What is preventing them from being free? It's the walls and the bars. Those walls and those bars for us are the 5 vices that are keeping us trapped in this jail. Some of us don't even realize that we're roaming around in a jail. We're all in a jail, in a form of a jail, because of these 5 vices. True life actually exists beyond this jail. Just like that, true life exists beyond the 5 vices. And here Guru Arjan Dev Sai Ji, they're trying to tell us, they're trying to free us by teaching us to tune into this vibration, this naam that is sustaining this whole universe. And by doing so, we get liberation from these 5 vices whilst we're still alive. Here Maharaj is saying, Har amrit boond suhavli mil sadhu pivanhar. Har meaning Vaheguru. Amrit boond, boond means drops. Amrit referring to the immortal nectar. Here Maharaj is saying amrit boond suhavli. Suhavli means beautiful. Mil sadhu pivanhar. When we come into the Sad Sangat, when we listen to Gurbani, listen to Kirtan, listen to Katha, then we drink these drops of immortal nectar. What does that mean? We get understanding of Gurbani. We connect with Gurbani, we understand it at a deeper level, and our mind, it starts to transform. Our mind starts to change, it transforms, And that transformation is then reflected in our actions. Bhai Kulwant Singh Ji, who's a great Katha Vachik, they said something really beautiful. They said reading Gurbani and doing Simran is just 25% of the work. The rest 75% of the work is living our life in accordance to Gurbani, living our life practically as Gurbani is teaching us to live. So surely we've seen many examples of people that read Gurbani, but they're still full of anger. Surely we've seen examples of people that read Gurbani, but they are full of hatred, full of ego, full of desires, full of lust, full of pride. That happens when we don't understand Gurbani. That happens when we don't reflect on Gurbani. That happens when we when we think of Gurbani, we think of Gurbani as a checklist. That this is something that I want to be done for the day and that's it. Even if we read Mool Mantar, even if we recite Mool Mantar from Ik Onkar all the way to Nanak Hosi Pi Sach, but if we do it wholeheartedly, even that can take us back from where it came from, which is Vaheguru. So Sangat Ji Maharaj is saying, Vanatena Prabh Sang Molya Samrat Purkh Apar. Vana meaning forests, Tena meaning grassland or meadows. Prabh Sang Molya, Prabh meaning Vaheguru, Sang meaning with. Molya means to blossom, to rejuvenate. Samrat Purkh Apar, Samrat meaning all powerful. Purkh referring to Vaheguru, who is our protector. Apar meaning no one can tell God's limit. Vaheguru is pervading everywhere. So when it rains in the forests and the meadows, just like when it rains in the forests and the meadows, they blossom. Just like that, when we connect to Gurbani, when we delve in deeper, our mind is rejuvenated. We start to understand that the forest, the meadows, the trees, the plants are not just passive scenery. They're active participants in the game of love. They're active participants in the game of love. They're active participants of Vaheguru that is infused within them. And you see that Creator is pervading everywhere. So there's a transformation that takes place. We blossom from within. What is that transformation? Love starts to replace fear. Compassion starts to replace anger. Stillness of the mind starts to replace restless mind. And clarity starts to replace confusion. This is just an example of the transformation that happens when we connect with Gurbani, when we understand Gurbani. And Maharaj is saying, Har milana no man lochda, karam milavan, that our mind is yearning to experience the presence of God. Har milana no man lochda, karam milavan. Karam here doesn't mean actions, it means Guru's grace. It means the blessing of Vaheguru. Karam milavan. We cannot meet God, we cannot experience God without God's blessing. Maharaj say, Jini sakhiye prabh paya ho tinka sad balihar. Jini sakhiye. Sakhiye is referring to the one that is witnessing God's presence in the meadows, in the forest, in the trees, and the flowers outside. Sakhiye is the one that's witnessing God in the sun, in the moon, in the stars. Prabh paya, that sakhiye, that witnesser has realized that we were never actually separated from God. We were always one with God. I honor those beings. I want to learn from those enlightened beings. I want to learn from those seekers, those that have found Vaheguru, those that have realized their true self and connected to God within. Nanak harji mayakar sabd savaranhar. Nanak harji mayakar. Harji is referring to Vaheguru. So we're doing an ardas to Vaheguru. We're saying Nanak harji mayakar. Shower your mercy upon us. Sabd savaranhar. Sabd is referring to Gurbani. Savaranhar means the one that refines, the one that polishes, the one that beautifies us. And who is that thing, or what is that thing? That's Shabad, that's Gurbani for us. The Shabad has a power, Gurbani has a power, Naam, that vibration has a power to transform us, just like a jeweler that polishes gems and gradually removes all the impurities, just like that Shabad refines us. It removes all the impurities from within us. What are those impurities? Anger, worries, fear, attachment. It refines us such that we become compassionate, we become humble, we become content. And these are reflected in our actions. We're not just talking about it, we're walking the walk as well. Our own efforts cannot produce this transformation. This is why we come into the sanctuary of our Guru and do ardas to our Guru to have mercy upon us, such that through Gurbani we can make our lives better, such that Gurbani can improve our lives. And here Maharaj is saying, Savan tina suhagani jin ram naam aur har. Savan, the month of Savan, isn't joyful for everyone. This month of Savan isn't joyful, isn't fun for those duhagans, those that have been separated from Vaheguru and they are still in that state of separation because of their ego. This month of Savan is joyful, is delightful for those suhagans, those that, suhagan referring to a married woman, metaphorically speaking, those soul brides whose husband is Vaheguru. This month of Savan is joyful for those suhagans that have felt, that have experienced the presence of their husband within them and around them. In every relationship they have, all the nature that we see, the flowers that we see, the forest, the trees, the birds, the animals that we see, experience that presence of Vaheguru within them. Ram Naam Urta, Ram Naam here is referring to God's presence, Ur is referring to heart, and Har is the garland, is the necklace. So God's name isn't just upon their tongue, but that presence is felt inside, is felt deep inside. It's like they're wearing this inner garland that is strung thread by thread through constant remembrance of the one they love, which is Vaheguru. So Sangaji, this is the message for the baani of Savan. And in summary, in short, we're going to talk about what Maharaj we're talking about in this whole month. We're going to summarize it now. So in the month of Savan, which is the month of monsoon, who does it really rain upon? It rains heavily, but who does it really rain upon? Love rains upon the seeker who is searching for deeper meaning in life. Love isn't just an emotion, it's complete transformation. Love isn't just a feeling. Love isn't something that we look for. Love is something that we become. The seeker is no longer attracted to the pleasures of this world or the pleasures of this body. And we don't get any rasa to it when we become that seeker, when we are someone that is looking for that deeper meaning in life. And Naam is like Wi-Fi that is pervading everywhere. Only if we tune into it can we experience it. And in order to experience it, we need to tune into it every single day, continuously. Our mind and our body are soaked in that true color when we come into the satsang, when we come into the sanctuary of our true Guru, Satguru, Guru Granth Sahib Ji. When we come into their sanctuary, our mind is colored in that color of truth, that true love, that truth. It's not like the fading dyes of ego, anger, desires, resentment, bitterness. All those things are temporary. This color is the color of truth. This color is the color of love that never washes away. And lastly, Sangaji, Maharaj are reminding us that Guru's Shabad is like the artisan that molds us, that gets rid of all the impurities within us, refines our mind such that our mind is no longer trapped in the five vices. We're no longer that person that is always full of anger, full of pride, full of desires, full of lust, full of greed, full of attachment. Instead, we become someone that is humble, that is compassionate, that is kind. And this is reflected in our actions. So Sangaji, these are the teachings for this month. And please forgive me as I've made several mistakes. And please, a beinti again, that before you leave, please pick up a pot and a card that has seeds on it. And grow it, plant it in your home, in your kitchen, in your garden, wherever you want to plant it. And hopefully, as you see these flowers blossom, you'll remember the month of Savan and you'll hopefully blossom from within as well. And that spiritual growth is happening alongside the flowers blossoming. So Sangat Ji, Deho Sajjana Sisiriyan Jehovah Sahib se umel. Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh.